Hello and welcome to the Wednesday night stream. Tonight is going to be part 2 of our Linux 02 Hero program. So we're going to go over a lot of stuff tonight. And as usual, I'm going to give people till about 7:35 or so to get logged on, get set up. Tonight, if you don't have a Linux or Unix computer, I think I found some online resources where you can kind of hop in and try some Linux stuff. What have you been DevOpsing? There's a lot that could go into DevOps. What tools were you messing with? What were you learning? But for anyone who doesn't have, anyone who's running Windows who doesn't have the Windows subsystem for Linux, first let's do that. And you want to follow along, and you want to be able to run these commands at the same time as I'm running them. There are some online terminal emulators. Let's see if we can grab one real quick that we can try together. Maybe I'll even try one at the same time. I think I saw this one before, and it's pretty cool. We're going to React front end for my boss that drives Kubernetes. So if anyone who doesn't know, K8S, you'll see that a lot. That stands for Kubernetes. It's a common shortening of the word behind the scenes using Rancher. That's awesome. I still haven't gotten around to using Rancher. I remember you brought up Rancher before. Definitely something I'm still looking forward to getting into. Just have a lot on my plate, a lot of things on the list to learn. I'm trying to get my my AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional cert right now. So that's where most of my energy is going right now. The 8 means 8 characters were omitted. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. 8 characters were omitted from the middle of Kubernetes, so that's just shortening it. It's easier to write out that way. But yeah, so I'm definitely going to dive into Kubernetes a little bit deeper in Rancher, a little bit deeper in the coming weeks, right after I get that AWS cert, because that's first on my list. But let me paste this in the channel for anyone who wants to follow along. I guess you can try it here. Just click at the bottom, start. I think you should be able to use that to enter in some commands if you want to, if you don't have a terminal available to you. But cool, it's 7:35, so we'll get started. So let me throw some music on. I knew it felt a little quiet here. Let me get some Spotify playing. Definitely, let's go to lo-fi hip hop. As usual. Let's go with that. Y'all let me know if it's too loud or not. I'm going to leave the sound as is for now. Let me get back to my screen over here. Cool, that feels cool. So last time, what did we learn? Last time we went over just getting Linux installed. We did everything through VirtualBox because every distribution has access to VirtualBox. So anyone with a computer, unless you have a Chromebook, you can kind of get VirtualBox spun up and you can install the Linux distribution of your choice. And actually, for anyone not using, anyone who's like on a Chromebook or something, or who has a computer that's not modern, it's kind of old, you might want to check out AWS Cloud 9. This will spin you up a workspace. You can fit up a completely free workspace. You might have to you might have to give them your credit card number, but it won't charge you anything. Let's paste this. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Kubernetes released for ARM. But for anyone who is having any problem, that's good. I like that K3S. That's pretty dope. I like that. But you can use this Cloud 9 thing. It's a cloud IDE that comes complete with a place to edit documents. It comes complete with a text editor, complete with a little workstation that has access to a terminal as well, and you can run programs and things inside of it. You can use it as your full development environment. It's pretty cool, and again, you can get a completely free one, so definitely check that out. Maybe one day we'll go over that and what that is. show people how to use that. Whoops, I think the music's still playing. I think I broke my music in my headphones, and I don't like not being able to hear it, so I'm gonna fix it real quick. Oh wait, it's back. There we go.
Mic off.
Turn it down a little bit, so I'm not yelling at you guys. But cool. Last time we talked about a couple things. We talked about getting Linux installed. We talked about simple command line navigation, how to move forward and backward through directories, how to change directories, how to make directories, learn how to make empty files, learn how to move those files around, copy them around, things like that. So if you missed that one, definitely go back. It's still recorded here on Twitch. Definitely go back and watch that one so you can kind of get up to speed on some of that stuff. You don't need to know that stuff before learning this stuff. You just might see me do some things that you're not familiar with. But again, take in the concepts, take in the ideas of what I'm doing. You can always Google this stuff, but start to understand like how this ties into using Linux. I'll talk about that a lot. And pick up this stuff. Practice it yourself. Major keys practice. You'll start to memorize this stuff as you do it consistently. So definitely, if you haven't watched the first one, definitely go back and watch that to get a refresher on some of that stuff. And Pro Evils, what AWS cert are you studying for? So I currently have the associate developer cert. I did try to take the associate solutions architect cert without studying for it. I got a 76% or something. I didn't study for it at all. And I failed that one. But it wasn't too difficult. It asked a lot of stuff about Elastic Beanstalk. And this was the old test. I literally took it the day before they switched it over to the new test. I won't make that mistake again. So I'm waiting, and I'm just going to take the professional one next because I'm spending some time studying for that one right now. Oh yeah, Cloud Practitioner is perfect. Everyone who wants to, get an intro into the cloud, definitely the training for the certified cloud practitioner stuff is free. Amazon has that training for free, and there are other places you can get it. I always like to shout out acloud.guru. Great website. If you got a little bit of money to spend per month, it's like $30 a month. They keep their stuff up to date, and they have information for all of the cloud exams, for Azure, a bunch of other stuff as well. So if you are studying and you're willing to put out a little money, that's a good option as well. But Amazon does give you all the training for that. But yeah, so this time I forgot what were the topics I want to cover tonight. So yeah, tonight we're going to cover file permissions. Really important. We'll cover file permissions, process management. What did I say? User and information management. That's probably what we'll do first. And then we'll do installing and uninstalling packages. All these are very important. All these are really good tools to know. You'll use them, whether or not if you're a dev, sysadmin, Linux admin, throughout tech, you're a networking administrator. You use these Unix and Linux commands to do a lot of your job. So they're very, very, very important to know. So, Udemy, yeah, Udemy's great. For anyone who does buy courses off of Udemy or Udemy or however you pronounce it, don't buy them when they're not on sale. Udemy has sales every 2 days. And let's see, I'll probably go there right now. They'll probably have a sale going on. Cool, yep. Expert level courses from $11.99. I only buy courses if they're $9.99 to $11.99. I got a bunch here. You can see I've got some Terraform, JavaScript, all kinds of stuff. But it's a good resources. You get those courses, for as long as you need them. You don't have to pay monthly for them, so it's kind of nice to just pay for them, pay $10, have them. Ask your job wherever you work, even if it's not at a tech company. Ask them if you can get some professional development money or something like that maybe you can reimburse this purchase. It'll be great. I am not a super guru. I'm definitely not a super guru. These are all things that I want to learn. I do know a lot about a lot of this stuff already that I learned elsewhere, but I kind of wanted to, I don't know, I buy them as they come along. I do get training money from my company, and so when they're cheap, I buy them to go through, I always want to be marketable, and a lot of that stuff is really cool and it's just fun, and you can use it to do a lot of things, in your personal life. Like I have a lot of projects that I'm working on right now, that aren't work related that, I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't take some of these courses and go through some of this stuff. So I'm not a super guru. I'm working on being pretty good, but yeah. And I'm not a developer. I am thanks for the sub. For the follow. I appreciate that. But I'm not a developer. Well, I do development. I actually spent my last 2 weeks, writing some React code and stuff, but I'm a DevOps engineer, so I deal a lot with cloud computing and writing automation and software around automation and cloud computing for a Scrum team. I'm on a Scrum team, so yeah, I do write software, I do write code as well. But that's what I do on a daily basis. So I guess I am a developer, but my main title is DevOps engineer, and I do a lot more stuff on the infrastructure side of things. Yeah. So tonight, again, we're going to start with like the user and the user information management. But I'm going to send you guys this linuxacademy.com cheat sheet that I'm going to basically be working off of so that you can follow along. So if anyone wants to save that, bookmark that. If you want to know some Linux commands, it's a good cheat sheet to have to reference commands. Because again, there are a lot of them and it's hard to remember them. I've been doing this for years. So, and, I don't know all of these by heart. I have to look them up. I have to look up the flags, the things you can do with them. But that's what we're going to go over tonight. But first, I wanted to show people have been asking me, like, why should I learn Linux? And I think I want to talk about this every time. But let's just say I go to Indeed.com. So most of the internet runs off of Linux, to be honest. It's a good thing to know. But if I just go here and I type in Linux, I'll get a bunch of stuff. Let's go worldwide or nationwide. If I type it in, you'll see that I'll get a lot of sysadmin stuff and I'll get a lot of Linux administrator jobs and stuff, but I'll also get everything else. And you can see Linux and WordPress admin, web developer, and Linux systems administrator, systems engineer, Linux developer. So you'll get a lot of Linux admin stuff, but if I got deeper into this list, you'll get all kinds of developer jobs, junior DevOps engineer. You use it, like in all these jobs you use it. It is the base. It's what all the applications and things that you use every day run on. So it's very good to know. It'll help you do your job faster. Package all the packages and things that you use. It'll help you troubleshoot. It's valuable in so many ways. So that is the reason why I do want to do this masterclass on this. And then if you go here, even if you only want to learn Linux and you're not sure what you want to do, it's gonna make me put some to sign in. But if I do like a Linux admin salary, let's see what we got here. Yeah, so this is for Comcast Linux administrator, $101,000 a year, 81. So the salaries are pretty good, even if you just learn Linux and just learn how to use it to be a Linux administrator. You can, as a junior Linux admin, you're making 55K, 68K, and that's only this technology. So it is a pretty important thing, and it can be a very valuable thing. But yeah, you've been getting AWS server setups. Big learning curve. Yeah, it's a big learning curve. I started out as like a systems admin, Linux administrator, so I was familiar with a lot of the system stuff that make the cloud kind of difficult to learn. But yeah. We set up this RDS Aurora as a database, and yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And the best thing to do with the cloud is practice. Get in there, practice, get your hands on it, get inside of the console, click around, make sure you know what's going on. Get comfortable with it, then start getting comfortable with the command line and realizing that AWS is just one giant API, you're making calls to it. And it'll become easier. You'll start to see how things work, but definitely get in there and play with it. Your web developer, so Linux is something I have to deal with on it. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's something that you will likely have to deal with on a daily basis. And it doesn't make you a Linux administrator. But it can put you on the path to, you can market yourself as two things, maybe. There's a lot more that goes into being a Linux administrator than knowing some of the basic, navigation and things of Linux. But no, it 100% helps. It makes you more marketable. And it actually will probably turn you into more of a DevOps engineer. And if I put DevOps engineer in here, you'll see how the salary drastically increases for the average base pay. And that's being able to kind of use automation. You're learning about the cloud stuff now. And you're a developer, it's being able to combine software to be able to automate and to manage your infrastructure as well as there's cultural shifts with DevOps. But tonight we're going to talk about some of the technical aspects of it. But cool. So we're going to go off that cheat sheet. Let's go back to where I was. I shared it. Let's go. Actually, I already sent it in the chat. Cool. So let's start with our first command. We're going to go right down the list. So display a user group and IDs of a current user. So if you're on a server, you're spinning up infrastructure in AWS or Azure or a Google Cloud platform, you may want to, so LS, we talked about LS on the last one. We did all that last time, but you'll see me do variations of LS a lot this time. But yeah, perfect. You guys are saying all the good stuff. But we're gonna start out with like the user management, and so we're gonna start with ID. So this can be a little hard to read, really weird. Actually, I'm gonna make this a little larger. Let me make it just a little bigger. Let's make it 30 so it's real clear. All right. Let's take this out to here. All right, so we did ID. ID gave us a bunch of information. Things like UID, our user ID number, our group GID stands for group ID number. Don't worry about everything that's here right now. Just try to remember the idea of the concept of an ID, and that users and groups having these IDs, and they matter later. I don't want to get too deep in that right now. That's like a lot of the stuff is going to come full circle, maybe in the 4th or 5th part of the series. We're just going to kind of get our hands on a lot of the commands now, and talk about the different pieces of the system. So ID, that's how you can get your user or group ID. It'll be different per user. So this is an excellent segue into the who am I command. So if I type in who am I gives you your current user. So again, a lot of times you may be logging into a server that doesn't have this entire graphical interface. You'll log right into a console that's just this terminal. It'll be uglier than this. I got some cool stuff in here to make it really cool. But you can hop in. If you don't know who you are, you may be doing a bunch of stuff, forget who you are. You can type in the who am I command and it'll tell you who you are. And because I'm the user, Aaron, just like your user on your Mac or just like your user on your Windows computer, that's your user. That's the same thing here. And it gave me the ID that's related to my account, and not someone else's account. So if you want to see everyone who's logged in, you can type in this who command. So if this was a system, if this was a server, and a bunch of people are logged in, maybe you had a development server that a bunch of developers logged into, this is how you would see who's logged in, and it would show me everybody, and it would give the timestamp and things like that. So these are Unix-wide commands. 100%. These are, Linux, and Linux is a Unix-like operating system. They're very close. All these commands, almost every single command will work on a Mac. You may have to install some of them, and some of them the flags may be a little bit different. There are a few things like rsync, I think, and a few others where the flags don't work quite the same, but really close. So yes, if you're on a Mac, you can hop along and do all these with me the entire time, I believe. So if I type in W, that's an alias here, and a command that shows you who's logged in. And so if there are more people logged in here, it will show me all the users that are logged in, and it'll tell me what they're doing. So it'll give me this right here is the process path for what's going on. Again, this can be like all this information right here can be overwhelming if this is your first time looking at it. Just remember the W command it shows everyone who's logged in and what it is that they're doing. It gives them the login time, and it's easy for me to look at some things like this because I've been looking at it for years, but it can be confusing the first time you do it. Are available for download? So that's excellent. These are recording right now. Like I have it set up to record at the same time I'm streaming. Yes, I'm going to put them on YouTube, and I'm going to put them in an S3 bucket for people to grab. So there's this cool like Nightbot commands here. And there will be a link, hopefully next week, for you guys to grab the videos out of either YouTube or out of the S3 bucket if you want to watch some of this stuff. The SCP command is good you need to be able to move stuff around over SSH. It's great. 100% we'll definitely get into SCP commands. And also this stream is available for I'm an affiliate. No, I'm an affiliate. I'm not a partner. But these streams will be around for 60 days, I believe. So you'll be able to watch it for that long. So it's fine if you don't get through everything tonight. No big deal there. But let's head on to the next one. Let's get down this list. Cool. So those are some of the basic user those are some basic user commands. We're going to head into some group commands now. So in Linux, there's these ideas of users. Obviously, like that makes sense to most people. And then there's a concept of groups. So group is a group of users. So you take users that are on the system and you can assign them to a group, and this can allow you to manage them in different ways. But groups are just what they sound. It's a group of users. So cool. So yeah, thanks. Yeah, see you tomorrow night. That's perfect. It'll definitely be up. So let's go to group. So you can do things like, actually, let's go back into the user commands. Let's stay along the track. I was just kind of going down the user information list they had here, but let's go with this. So let's say we want to make another user. Let's say you're running a system and someone else wants to log in, and let's say I've got Tim. Tim just joined the team, and I want to add him to the system. Log in, simple command, user add. And so when you type in a command in Linux and you hit enter, if you don't know what it does, just type in the command, hit enter. It'll give you the manual, or give you the man page for it. Maybe this is the help page, I don't know. But it'll give you kind of, again, can be overwhelming to read if this is your first time kind of looking at something like this. But basically what's happening here is these things over here are flags that I can pass to the command that do different things. So, this one is -B for base directory. So I can tell when I create this user, I can say, hey, when I make this user, it's going to create a base directory for them. I can tell exactly if I want to make it different from the standard directory, I can tell it that and specify the directory I want it to have. So there's a bunch of different things here. Sorry, that's my dog barking. I have a Bill Rottweiler who's she's an angel, but she's a pretty good guard dog, so I'm sure there's somebody outside making some noise. What's that? Index just OBS. Additional record. Oh, that's cool. The middleman server between OBS and Twitch ingest server. That's awesome. I would love if you got any documentation on that. I'd love to take a look at that. That's actually pretty cool. That would be great. But yeah, so I got these flags here, but I'm going to go ahead and add a user. So I'm going to add Tim to our system. User add Tim, permission denied. Now, this is something that's important. My face is in the way. Let me make my face a little bit smaller because you guys care more about the content than me. Make it a little bit smaller. Perfect. We got some interaction here. Sudo, perfect. So, just like Linux, just like Windows, just like Mac, you've got to have permissions to do some things. You have to be essentially the super user, and on a Mac when this happens, and on Windows will give you some like weird pop-up and with a little shield and like ask you to accept it. And Linux, in Mac, I believe, will ask for your password. It'll make a pop-up box, ask for your password. This is similar to what's happening there, but it doesn't do that by default. So it gives me a permission denied. This is very important when you're using Linux. Whenever you see permission denied, the first thing you should be thinking usually is sudo. There's a command called sudo. This allows you to escalate your authority. It allows you to escalate your permissions to be that of the super user, and temporarily just for that command. Sometimes it lasts for a few commands. But yeah, so it gives me some output here. Let's try again later. Can't do something. So I'm going to run the sudo command. Actually, what happens? I'm not going to run that by itself. But so Linux, actually, if you ran a command that didn't work, you could hit the up button. When you hit the up arrow, it brings back that command, so you don't have to type it back in. Super useful. Also, if you ran a command and maybe you close the window or something, you can do, I meant to disable Nightbot from stopping link posting. I need to do that. I'll do that in a little. Let me see if I can actually, wait. I'll have it undelete all your stuff. Yeah, I can see your message. I can repost it. I'm going to do it right now. Cool. How can I delete these? Yeah, I got it. That's my bad. I meant to set up to fix Nightbot to not do that. So yeah. So tonight, do your best not to post links. If you have a link, you can post it and I can repost it or something, but try not to post links. But yeah, so the up command takes you back to the command that you just ran. But you can also type in history. History brings you up an ordered list of all the commands that you've run, so you can go back and find a command that you've done. So history is a cool one. Let me clear the screen. But I want to run that user add command again, and I'm going to put sudo in front. It's going to ask for my password, but it's not going to show it when you're typing it. And you know, it takes me back to the prompt. If you ever do something that takes you back to the prompt like this, it's usually an indication that that it's good. So let me see. What does the caret do again? When I type I get in there. Oh, okay. So sorry about that. That was not a character that we actually wanted. That kind of happens when you hit like when I hit Control C. Control C is how you get out of how you exit a command or exit a process in the terminal. And the little caret is actually for the control key. So yeah, so you don't want. Yeah, you don't need to put in Control C. That was just showing that I did that to get to the next line. So ignore whenever you see that caret, unless I explicitly tell you. Yeah, definitely ignore that. But now that I've done that, I've added the user Tim. I can change to the user Tim. So to do that, I can use the su command. Same thing, same kind of similar how we did sudo. I can do su-tim. I didn't give him a password, so it may not let me actually switch. Authentication failure. How can I? Actually, I haven't done this in a while. Change user Linux. I'm pretty sure if I log out too, there will be a Tim user, but I don't want to log out. Can I not do su minus Tim? Yeah, that should work. It's probably because I didn't give it a password. So let's give Tim a password. To give him a password. So this is very important to know. I could do sudo su. I'm not going to do sudo su yet. I want to give him a password first, and we can do sudo su. Oh yeah, password. I think you can just do password Tim. Pass wd. I haven't done this in a while either. I haven't had to manage. I haven't had to manage users in a long time because of the way my systems have been set up. This should work. What does it say? Oh, that's just sudo. It's another sudo. I was not the root user. So I'm gonna give a password for Tim. So I've created him an account. I'm gonna give him a password. I'm gonna make it password 1234. Password 1 just for now. But you can't see me typing that. Cool. So now I think if I sudo Tim, I think it'll work. And I type in password 1234. Cool. So yeah, I can't log directly into home because of the way Ubuntu set up by default. But what I did here, you can see how the prompt no longer says my name next to it. You can rely on this prompt here to tell you a lot about what you're doing. And so I am Tim now, and I can type in, we talked about that command we did before, which is who am I, and my user is now Tim. So I've created an entirely new user on this system. So I'm going to hit Control D, and let's make one more user. The user add, and let's go with Jane. Cool. So we got another user here, and we're gonna give her the same password. So we've got 3 users on the system. So we've added our new team members to the servers. Now they can go ahead and log in and do the things that they want to do. The random question, by the way, don't want to kill your. Oh no. Ask all the random questions. Like that, I love the interaction. I love the flow is better, honestly, when you guys ask questions. And I'm honestly only doing this so that you guys can learn the things that you want to learn. Hopefully, I'll give you as much knowledge I have, but the questions are the kind of the best. That's how you deep dive into some of the best stuff. But yeah, so my ZSH. I love the ZSH shell. I used to be huge into using it. And customizing it and all this other stuff. CSH is great, has a lot of customizations, things like that. But I've kind of backed away from it. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old and ornery. But I no longer really do a lot of customizations on my shell. So what I do have here is I have a JavaScript terminal called Hyper here that I've decided to use. And it gives you just some cool theming options and some cool stuff, like real dumb stuff that's not really useful when you want to, I don't know, just kind of make your day a little more fun. But I don't know, I kind of take the out-of-the-box experience a little bit better, because I found that when I would get into, a bash prompt that didn't have, I'll log into a server or something in our bash prompt that didn't have the tools available to me that I was used to using on my ZSH and customizing my ZSH shell. A lot of servers don't just come with bash by default. So I found that it was annoying not having those tools available to me. So I kind of backed off of it a little bit. I think it's great, especially if you're a dev and you don't really need to log into servers. We're kind of in the new age. Like, I actually don't really ever log into servers, because the project that I work on is we've basically been able to make it completely serverless and full kind of immutable infrastructure. So I don't really need to do this anymore. So I could probably go back to using that and doing some more shell customizations and things like that. But no, I think it's great. I think it's a great product, great tool. It's got a lot of stars on GitHub, so it's awesome. But I have found that if you're a Linux admin or someone who's gonna be logging into servers all day, I would stay away from it. But everyone else, I think you should hop into it. But cool. So we've got our 3 users here, and so that, again, we've learned something pretty important: how to manage users on a system. But now let's make a group. So we can do we'll make a group, and then we'll add these people to it. So we'll make a group. So to add a group, it's group add. Man, I can't type right now. Group add, and we'll call it employees. And let's say these are my employees. And again, very important. It gives us permission denied. We should all be thinking the sudo command. Now, there are also ways, I don't want to teach you bad things, but there are also ways that you can make it so that you don't have to keep doing this. You can easily switch to the root user to be able to run all your commands as root, but it's not yet. We're not ready for that yet. I don't want to get bad habits. Someone taught me that early, and I made a lot of mistakes because of it in the beginning. So I'm not going to teach anyone that yet. But so now we have this group called employees. So we learned about the cat command first time. This is a concatenate command. This will spit out the contents of a file. But there is this etc group file. If I do cat etc group, I can see here that there is this group down here. Every time you create a user, it does create a group of the same name as well. You can see Aaron has one. There's a bunch of other stuff that was created by the system. Don't sweat those. But you can see that there's this employees group here. Cool. So we have that group. And then you can do, actually, I'm going to have to refer to the command sheet to do this, because again, like I said, it's not something I do often, but I always have to, you always have to refer to the internet for flags and things like that. And we could find out from the docs, but I think it shows you here. You can add a user to this group. So it'll tell you who's in the group. So my user's Aaron, and this Samba share group is this, and it has my name listed here, and that's because the Aaron user is in this group. So let's go ahead and add, what is it, dash, I don't want that. Oh yeah, so you have to user mod. Yeah, I forgot about that. So you have to modify the user. So you do user mod. And actually, let's take a look at the help file for this, because I know you need append. So you need this -a. So, and this appends the user to the supplemental groups mentioned by the -g option without removing him or her from other groups. So this will put the person in the group without removing them from other groups. And then we will add the -g command as well. So we'll go to user mod -ag, and what comes first? First is the group. So we made this employees group, and let's pass in Jane. Once again, permission denied. Let's always remember now to use sudo, and that's the last time I'm going to do that on purpose. I might mess up and do it not on purpose, but hopefully that can just drive in that you to know what sudo is and to know when to use it. Cool. So we'll run our command again to list our groups and what's in there. And you can see before this did not have Jane in there. Let's close this. It did not have Jane in there, but now Jane is in the employees group. Perfect. So now we got Jane in our employees group. We can hit up twice to get back to our command, and we can change this, and we can also add Tim to our group. And let's check that out again. Awesome. Now we've got all these users in this group. And again, these groups are important because you can use them to manage different things kind of as a whole, different permissions and things like that. So we've done that. And then we can do things like user delete. I'm not going to delete these. I'll create a user. Let's user add test. So we got a test user. And then I'm going to remove that user. So that's user delete. And I could do test. And it's going to give me a password in here again. And sudo, and so that user is now gone. So user delete, there's user add, user delete, pretty easy to remember, pretty simple, plain English ones. That's how you do that. Yeah, so that's probably all of the user information and management commands. Let's move on to, let me open this back up. What else does it say? Let's go to, what do we want to go to next? Let's go to file permissions. Since we just talked about this, this is a good segue into file permissions. All right, let's go into let's make a directory here. I'm gonna make a directory here called permissions examples, just for fun. So all right, so when you guys see me type in LL, this is an alias. You're probably not going to have this you might not have this available to you on your Mac if you tried to type in LL. LL is an alias on my computer for this, for ls-alf. Those being different flags to do different things. The A, I like this alias a lot because the -A gives me all. So ls by default, and I can show you the different ways this works. So if I do ls in this directory, it shows me the files like this with no other information, just a flat stack. If I add the ls-a, I don't have anything here that's hidden, but A stands for all. So this is how you show, I don't know if you guys have ever gone into a directory in Windows, or Mac. I think you can right click and look at hidden files, and you can show your hidden files, and you can see things that you couldn't see before. The -A will show hidden files. And actually, if I go, whoops, I was clicking the wrong thing. If I do it from here and I do if I do an ls and I do an ls-a, it shows you all these things that are prefaced with a dot. In Linux, that's how you specify a hidden file. With Mac, you have to run a command. Yeah, yep, with dot files, yeah. But in Linux, hidden files that's how you hide files. They're dot files as well, but they're hidden with a dot, so anything with a dot is hidden by default. So actually, if I go into this is my home directory, you can see here, let's put these side, can I make that bigger? If I put these side by side really quick, and show here, it shows my desktop, my documents, things like that. If I do an ls, it'll show the same files, desktop, documents, and things like that. But this does not show all of the hidden things because, again, those are hidden. So that's how you see them in Linux. You give a -A. What else did that ls command have? It also had another L. So to get the same listing to be a longer listing and have more information, you can add an L. So I'll leave the A off. And so instead of listing it like this, it lists it like this, and it gives us a bunch of information. And this is why we're going to go into this is how we're going to go into our permissions. And then the last thing this has, which is a small modifier, but it's really good for me, really good for I do a lot of stuff in the terminal. So it's really good for my eyes and helping me move a little bit faster. But the last item here is, let me make this a little bit smaller so that the bottom piece isn't messing with it, is the F. So there's a capital F here. And this one, I was super hyped when I found this. So that's my dog crying again. But I was super hyped when I found out about the F, which does look at all the, so mine by default, if you didn't know this, all of these that are in blue are directories. Actually, anything in white is a file. Anything in red is a archive file. So things like zip files, and tar tgz is a tar.gz file, and then anything in green is an executable. So like a file that you can click on to run something. But if I add in the F on the directories, it gives me the appending. It gives me an appending file or an appending marker. So it more easily denotes that this is a directory. So if I wasn't using this like cool theme, I may not know these are directories, and it shows a slash at the end, so to help me know that they're directories. So that's another reason why I use that as an alias. So just want to go over that a little bit, but this is good to know because when I run this ll command, let's go into this first. Let's start here. So all this information here, we talked about users and groups. That's really important here. So when you do a long listing of a file, this is how you get the user and the group. So the first item is going to be the name of the user. And so this is the person who owns this file, basically. Yeah, my hyper theme. Hold on, let me see what it is. I think it's hyperterm panda dash hyper dot. And I can actually post my hyper config somewhere if people want it. It's hyperterm panda. Yep. I think if you just Google hyperterm panda, you can find it. And I also have this get Falcon 9 thing, so when I push and pull from GitHub, it launches a rocket and lands a rocket. Cool. So we've got our user that owns the file. We've got our group that owns the file. So perfect. So we got a user, we got a group. That's why groups are important. And this is important. So I could change this group to, let's do that. Let's go to move this new Aaron's file.txt. I don't know what that is, but we're going to move it into the permissions example folder, and we're going to go into that permissions example folder. We're going to do a listing. We're going to take a look at this file. Let's make it owned by the second hander. I appreciate the follow. Thank you very much. Which font are you using? I don't know what font I'm using. That's a great question. This is the default font for the font family is probably like Inconsolata or something. Or yeah, I guess Menlo comes first, and I think it passes through to the rest. I think Menlo is what we have in here, but this is default. Awesome, DB Darrell, thanks for the sub, really appreciate it. Thanks for the Twitch Prime sub. This is Operator Mono. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't. That's what's listed in the Git repo. Cool. Yeah, that's I don't know. I stopped messing with fonts a long time ago too. This one worked for me. I used to customize all of that, and I just don't anymore. But this is Ubuntu. Ubuntu Mint based off of the same Debian distro. Actually, I think Mint is Ubuntu based and not Debian based, I believe. But yeah, but this is Ubuntu. It may look a little different because I'm running a shell theme called dash to dock. Not dash to dock. This is called dash to panel. To make it look a little more like Windows, and just to clean it up a little bit. I don't really like GNOME 3 as is very much, but yeah, most people hate Ubuntu, but it's pretty cool. I kept it pretty simple, and I do like Mint as well. That's fair. You do got to listen to what you can see. But yeah, so again, you always remember user first, group second. And so if I do this, so let's introduce you to a new command called chown. This is short for, remember, change owner. And so we're going to change who owns the file. So the anatomy of a chown command is chown. Then you give it a user that you want to own it, and I'll keep it as Aaron. And then you give it a colon, and then you give it the group that you want to be the owner. So right now this is owned by Aaron, the Aaron user, and owned by the Aaron group. We'll go chown Aaron, and then we'll give it to the employee. I think it was employees group, and then you specify the file that you're trying to change the permissions of. All right, not permitted. That's again sudo. Don't do as I say, not as I do. I keep messing up. All right, cool. So now if we do another listing here, you can see just like that, it changed to the employees group. Now let's talk about why this is important. Why did I do that, and why is it important? Over here on the left, you have these weird dashes and these letters, and same thing here. These are different letters here. But why is that? So permissions in Linux is a very important thing. If you're running, like I said, if you're running Mac, you'll have the same stuff here. Windows actually has Windows OS actually has a similar paradigm, but it's handled differently. But it has the same concept of owners and permissions of files. But this determines who can use this. So actually, let's change it back. Let's show it back to Aaron and Aaron. And let me go back over here and let me go back to being a Tim user. And if I try to just take a look at, let's try to cat /home. So because this doesn't have a shell by default, it's gonna do this weird formatting thing. So the words are there. If I do cat home A Brooks, what was I in? Documents, permissions, examples. What was the file in here? New. Whoops. Well, this doesn't have a shell, which is man. Let's see. CD /home. I can't tab complete because CD Aaron, because the shell's not set, which is really annoying. I could go set that, but we're gonna do this the hard way because it's fun. CD permissions examples. So we've got this. We're in the same place here. We've got this new files.txt, and we're gonna try to cat this. New Aaron's file.txt, and that worked. Why did that work? That shouldn't have worked. Oh, okay. All right, cool. We'll make it not work in a second. I didn't read the permissions right. Have returned display correctly for me for whatever reason. Really? Because it's a JavaScript thing, it's kind of weird sometimes for different packages and things like that. I've had this work well for me, one computer not work well on another, which kind of sucks. Same thing for fonts, really weird. But so I was able to, with the Tim user, I was able to look at this file. I did a cat on it, and it spit out the contents of that file onto the screen. And this is because, it's actually because of this block right here. The R stands for read. So there are 3 sets of permissions here that you can see. So we'll ignore the very first line, but permissions are denoted by this read, write, and execute. So there are 3 things you can do with a file that anyone can do with a file at any given time. You can read it, and so that means take a look at it, read the contents of it. You can write to it, which is a completely separate permission. So that means you can edit it, or you can execute it. If it's an executable or a script or something like that, you can run it. Those are the 3 permissions that you have available to you. Why are there 3 sets of these? That's because there are 3 permissions categories or groups basically that you could. There are 3 permissions categories that you have here. The first 3, and this is a very important concept, and it's okay not to get this the first time. This is something you'll have to play with, but this is very important when it comes to Linux. The first 3 these are the permissions for the user. For the user that owns the file, that's what these are for. So basically it's saying that if this was a file, let's go down here. It's basically saying that the user Aaron who owns this has read permissions for this file, has write permissions for this file, but does not have execute permissions. If I did have execute permissions, it'd have an X here. And then so the next 3, first 3 are for the user, the next 3 are for the group. And so this is why groups are important. So this means the employee group, anyone who's in the employees group, has read access to this file, has write access to this file, but cannot execute. So they have the same permissions that Aaron does as the owner of this file. Then the last 3 are the permissions for everyone else, anyone who doesn't fall into the user or the group. What permissions does the rest of the world have, or anyone else who's trying to access this file have? And you can see here it has read permissions, and that is why we were able to read this file here. So let's go ahead and change these permissions. Now, this is the most complicated piece of it. That part's not too hard. Is there any way to show the header so that the groups are labeled? That's a great question. Let me see here. Let's Google it real quick. Actually, I'll Google it here. These are I've actually never even thought about doing that. Linux ls show group label. That just takes me to the man page. Let's partition labels from the command line. Let's check here. That would be cool. This is for partitions. I don't want to see partitions. Yeah, I don't know offhand. I've actually never seen it before. I do not think you can do that. Yes, and that's exactly what I'm going into now. The number of permissions are exactly what I'm going into right now. So I'm going to change these permissions in a second, but these all have a number value. So again, remember that there are a lot of things here, but ignore the first one. But there's three, and there's three more. You can set the permissions for a file with 3 to 4 numbers. Let's start with 3 numbers. With 3 numbers. So let's just say something. I'm gonna change the permissions real quick. And so I showed you the chown command, which was change owner. We're gonna run a chmod command, and this is change. I don't know what mod is short for. But we're gonna modify it, and we're gonna set the permissions for this to 770 really quick. And I'm going to explain to this what this means in a second. So now if I go back to here and I want to type in this whole command again, because no shell. All right. And now we get a permission denied. So what changed? What changed is, change mode. That makes perfect sense. And I think I knew that, actually. So thank you for Googling that. I'm pretty sure I knew that from a long time ago. But yeah, so we changed the mode here to 770, and now we can no longer access it. So I'm gonna do another listing here and take a look at these permissions. And just from the things that I just told you, don't try to figure out the numbers, but maybe you can see why I can no longer read it. And you know, it should pop out at you quickly, you know, because a lot of things change here. But the main thing that changed from up here to here that's important for us, I was running this as the Tim user. This is my Tim tab basically, and Tim is not the user Aaron, is not the group Aaron, and you know, so the permissions fall here. Is, you know, because Tim is not in the Aaron group. Permissions fall here, and you can see the permissions for the rest of the world are 0, or they have no permissions here. So they're not allowed to interact with this file in any way. So so I can do an ls here to see that the file exists, but I cannot do anything with the file itself. Cool. So why did I enter these numbers, and how did these numbers change the things here? So each of these options. What are they? They're not it's 3 in octet. Just have a lunch mod in Google. Yeah, we can do that as well. But the first 3, the reads are worth 4. Let's see if the numbers are here. It may be easier to see it visually. Yeah, the reads stand for 4. So if you want something to be able to be read by whatever permission category you're editing, you need to give it a value of 4. If you want it to write, the write has a value of 2, and the execute has a value of 1. And 0 stands for no permissions. So you can add these numbers up depending on the things that you want to do. So and they're numbered this way because any combination of these like the three of these all adds up to a different number, so you can denote a single number, and that'll tell you exactly which permissions you want to do. So for the first octet, we gave it 7. So the first octet, we put a 7 there, and they gave it read, write, and execute. So if you add up all of these, 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So 7 gives you access to read, write, and execute. We did that same thing for the second octet. So our user has read, write, execute access. Our group has read, write, execute access. And we denoted a 0 for the rest of the world. And that gives them this. So does each individual number equal one group? It equals 1 octet. I believe 3 is an octet, which is weird because oct is 8. But I think it's an octet here. But yes, the one number represents a set of this is one set of permissions, represents one set of permissions here. Let's say we want to change it to something different. Let's say we want to make it so that our user Aaron, we're not going to worry about all 3 right now. Actually, I'll actually chmod this to 0, 0, 0 for now. And so we've got a bunch of dots here, or dashes here. Let's say, what are we going to do if we want to just give Aaron the user, not the group. We want to just give Aaron the user. We want to allow him to be able to write to this file, but not to read it. What number would we give to the user Aaron? And I'll give people a second. Someone type it in the chat once you get it. Cool. So no, we put 400. So we don't want the person to be able to read. So that would give me read access, but we only want to be able to write to it. Only want to be able to write to the file. We don't want to be able to read it. We don't want to be able to execute it. How do we do that? Let's try that one more time. Nope. So only write. Oh, yeah. Yep. Only write. No execute. Only write. Perfect. So let's go ahead and change that. So 200. Cool. And so if we list it, perfect. We've got write access. Now, what if we want to give the group? Execute and read. We want to give the group of Aaron. So we've set the user. We want to give the group read and execute, no write. What are we gonna have for our second octet, or what the permissions are gonna be? We already know the first one's 2, but again, read and execute. What are we gonna have here? Cool. So pro evils, that's correct. We're gonna give it a 5 because we gave write for the first person, and so for the read and for the execute together, you just add the numbers together, and it's a 5. So if I go back to here and I make the second number a 5 for the group, and we take a look at it again, we can see now that the first 3 only has write. This one has read and execute, and let's give the last one. Execute and write. So everyone else in the world, we want to be able to have them execute and write. So what are we going to do here? Let's refer back to here. We want execute here, and we want write. What is that going to be? Cool. Awesome. So, and we have 3. So let's edit that here. And we've got 3. That's a weird permission. You'll almost never use that. Most of the common permissions, you'll do things like you never really want to do 777, but if you're testing some things, 777 gives everyone access to things. But so let's just show you that the permissions that we want that work. But 777 is a common one. 644 is a common one for directories. 755 is a common one for files. 0400 or just 400 is a common one for like keys and things that you want to read. But cool, that is a great question. We did not cover what the D preceding this is. I don't want to make that confusing. Which ones did I get reversed? Oh yeah, right. You're right. You're 100%. You're 100% correct. 755 is for directories. 644 is for files. Thanks for calling that out. But doesn't giving only right permissions make? Yes, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. This is a weird permission. Giving only right permissions does not make any sense. Really, you'll never do anything like this. I just wanted to practice, giving very specific access. But I've never really had to give only right access. I mean, there are definitely scenarios where it's pertinent, but you probably won't do it often, for sure. What was I gonna say? Oh, but the D that's preceding. All this does is to note that this is a directory. And that is a file or a directory. And there's some permissions that are involved in that. Let me actually see. So there's another number. So I could add a 0 to the front, and this would still work. And you'll see a lot of 4-number permissions. But actually haven't had to do much with that. So let's see if it says it here. See if it tells us what that does. I do know it denotes a directory. Not 100% sure what other options you have with it. Let's check that out. Linux permissions D. I wonder if it means any more than that. Yep. Okay. So D just denotes the directory. Oh yeah. It kind of just tells you the mode field. So if it's a special file or a socket or things like that, it'll give you some different options on what that thing actually is. So cool. Cool. So we got permissions down. That's about as much as you need to know. Definitely mess around with that. Do your best to remember the numbers. Just remember read, write, execute, and remember 4, 2, 1 as the numbers that go with them. And it just takes practice. You'll get to very quickly be able to use that. It's really not. It looks more difficult than it is. And just getting comfortable with looking at these octets and knowing, quickly viewing them and seeing what's going on, and knowing that to see them, you've got to do a long listing. You've got to do an ls-l to see them. I have my alias set up. So cool. But let's chmod. I mean, let's actually chown. Chown. Let's actually chown this to employees. And let's take a look at that. And employees has read access, but everyone else doesn't. So because before we didn't have access to do this, this should work now because Tim is in the employees group, and now we do have access because we have the read options in the employees group. So that's Linux permissions. It's a pretty important concept. It's something you'll definitely need to know. And it's one of a lot of the other stuff is kind of just memorizing commands and kind of understanding what they do. This is pretty important because there are gonna be a lot of times you're messing with things, and like you'll hit weird permissions errors in different spots. It's important to be able to identify them and figure out what's going on as well. So this is. So I assume with a symlink, example, if you didn't have read, then nothing could follow it. I'm not sure what you mean by nothing being able to follow it with a symlink at all. And it's your first time. I'm not a Linux master. I've been messing around with Linux for a while, but again, my goal is just to share my knowledge, share what I know. Hopefully spark someone's life to be able to get into the tech industry. Tech industry has been life-changing for me, so I'm trying to get do my best to get other people in it. I run a meetup. Well, I help run a meetup here in Baltimore, and a tech meetup, and I go to a few, and my goal is just to share the knowledge that I have. Suppose you're looking at other types of. Oh yeah. There were things like symlinks and stuff. It was just if I had a symlink here and I had to look at it, or some special character or something like that, it would denote that here so you could quickly see what it was. Yes, a symlink can have permissions. The symlink permissions actually get very weird, and that is something very specific that I was actually going to talk about in another video. Symlinks can have very odd permissions. Symlinks can have their own permissions in each of the files that you're going to and things that they're linked to, and super weird. But we can get into that. I think Symlinks comes next video, to be honest, or next live stream. So yeah, so what do we do next? We got permissions here. Let's go to process management, and then we'll do process management real quick, and then we'll do the last one of installing packages, making sure everyone knows how to get packages installed on their system, because that's pretty important too. So process management. Let me see all the ones that they use. So we'll start with PS. So this is going to probably be the one. This is when you're getting into the kind of important stuff for, like, if you want to be like a systems administrator or a Linux administrator, or you are a dev and you're running things locally or on a server and you're having performance issues or weird things are happening. This is how you, this is where you kind of really start to be able to get good at knowing what's going on and troubleshooting problems. So we're going to start with the basics of all commands for process management, and that's going to be PS. And that's going to show the processes that are running on your computer. And this is very interesting because I would expect this to have shown a ton. If you do this on your Mac, this is going to show a bunch. And if I run this in Windows Subsystem for Linux, it's going to show a bunch. Let's see, bash. Let's see what happens here. Runs by default. Man, really? I wonder if this is a new Linux thing. This should show you, I definitely know all the tags to show more, but whoa, man, these are upgrades. I'm telling you guys, these are new things. Like, PS should show you a ton of crap. It always has. It should show me every process that's running on my computer. But I will. Let me see. DWX. Okay. Yeah, PS should show you everything. But yeah, so I got a lot of output from doing some other flags. But again, if you're running, maybe this must be a new kernel thing, to be honest, or a new version of PS. Because you usually get a bunch of stuff like this. So this just shows you, PS stands for process, short for process. And this shows you, let me clear this screen because it's too much. That shows you everything that's running on your computer, all the different processes that are running on your computer. It shows you the path to the, to the programs that are running, shows you the path to their executables, shows you the uptime for them, shows you a lot of stuff like that. So let's see what else they have here. I want to go over some of the basic ones that they have, and then I'll go a little bit deeper. Process management, PS, yeah, and you get PSEF. Still get a bunch of stuff. So you can see here it shows you, for one, the user on the left. It's showing you the user that is running. That's running it. Actually, let me scroll up a bit. I don't even think I have a scroll bar long enough. Oh yeah, cool. Shows you the UID, the user ID. UID stands for user ID of the thing that's running it. So root is the super user, basically, of the computer. Process ID PID shows you the number of process ID. And you don't need to really worry about this stuff. Don't really worry about any of this. Time can be important to see how long something's been running, because this can all get a little confusing. But time, show you kind of how long something's been running, and this is the command that's running what you're running, or what's running on your computer. So this is a path to these things. TCY is your typing device, but again, like I said, that'll get confusing. But yeah, this is how you see all the processes that are running. We'll lead. I'll get off of PS, and that's about all you need to know for PS. There are a lot of different ways to. There are a lot of different flags you can pass it, and you can use it to search for stuff. So I can do something like I can run a pipe and look for Chrome. In grep Chrome to kind of look for processes matching Google Chrome or whatever. If I know things that are running. PPID, let me tell you, I used to know what that is. What I was going to tell you, I think, was going to be wrong. And let me make sure I know what I'm talking about first. PPID Linux. You will unless you're like, you will very seldomly need to use the PPID. But so we got the process ID and we have the process each. The parent, yes, the parent process ID. So this is if there's a process over top of it that kicked it off, that's running it. And oh, thank you, these places, I appreciate that. It's the parent process ID, and that's what you can use to check that. But for now, I wouldn't stress it out too much. Yes, not always just as a dependency, but yes, yep. You can use the check process that runs out of dependency. Yep, and the one that forks another process. A process that kicks off another process becomes the parent. The other process kicked off becomes the child, and the parent ID is what you can use to identify that. And that'll lead us into a better command. So PS is great. PS is an excellent tool to use, but the best one. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get the memory usage, and we can actually see that here. But this is not a good way to see it. But top is very, very important. This is how you get a little bit of everything. We can see all of our processes that are running here. You get things about the computer load, and you get things about your CPU usage, which is hard to read here. Don't sweat that too much. You got your memory usage here. It's in bytes, which sucks. It's not a good way to read it. And you get your swapping things here, and the processes that are, so this is going to show an order from what's using up my most CPU. This is a command you need to know. Know this one. There are better ones. There's a better one that I will tell you to solve. This one will be on the system that you're checking out. If you ever get onto a system, top will be available to you. But there are better ones, like I'll show you HTOP in a second. But we can see here that Hyper Terminal is using a lot of my CPU here, tons of it, and GNOME Shell is using a bunch, and you can see what's using memory usage. I think you can do like Shift M, and that'll switch it so that it's now filtered by what's using the most memory usage. So this is a great way to quickly see what's going on and to see information about your system and to monitor it. And yes, that command is top, but I don't think I have it installed here. I'd recommend installing HTOP. This is a quick intro to installing packages. Whoops, that was yeah, so I'd recommend installing HTOP because it's cool. You probably won't have this available to you on servers that you have. Let me see here. HTOP is obviously it's a little easier to read. I can see things based on I can see CPU usage based on my core count. I can see my memory usage here, my swap usage here, and it's actually in gigabytes, so it's easier to read. And I can see how many tasks are running, so you can see how this is a lot easier to read. It's just if you are on a system that like they don't care if you kind of install a package like this, I definitely recommend installing HTOP because it's a little easier to check out the things that you want to check out. But that is how you can kind of monitor a lot of that stuff. There, hey, check the check rate. I'm not sure either. What you mean by the refresh rate of how quick top updates? That's a good question. Let's actually check them in. I think it does every second by default, or a little bit faster than that. Let's see here. Delay time. I don't know. Let's Google it real quick. I mean, it updates really fast, but let's see. So I guess you can add delay. It's probably I'd assume the lowest number. The lowest number you could probably throw in is it's probably 1 second. But you could try it. You could probably mess around with this with the -d delay to looks like that's how you can do it. So you can change it. I don't know if you can make it any faster than the default though. Yeah, so so I guess you can make it less than one. That's pretty cool. I've never seen that before. This is running in a VM and I don't want to crash it. So I'm not gonna run it. I've seen weird things happen. So I'm not gonna run that right now, but that's pretty cool. Thank you for that. So yeah, htop. And then I could kill a command. So let's say I wanted to open up Software Center. I don't know what the let's see if I can use ps grep software. Cool. So I've opened up the Software Center here. It's running. I'll show you that if I X out of it, still shows up. So it must still be. I don't know if that's the GNOME software. Let's try killing it. So this is the PID here. So we talked about the process ID. I can grab this process ID, and then for processes, if something's eating up, a bunch of memory or a bunch of CPU in a computer, you can't get it to die, or you're in a server and you only have the GUI. You can kill it by doing this, kill, and paste it in the process ID, and you can see how as soon as I ran that process died and went away, and it's no longer listed here. So I can open it back up. It'll give it a new process ID. And you can see how this process ID is different from before. And I'll copy it. And let's go ahead and kill it again and watch how fast it leaves my screen. Just like that. So that is how you kill processes. You can run kill all. I don't want to kill. You can run kill all to kill all processes of the same name. But that's the only one I'm running for that. So kill all is a good command that is listed in that cheat sheet that I posted earlier. So I'll repost it for anyone who's joined who doesn't feel like scrolling back to the top. So that'll take you to the process management section. That's where kill all is. So you could do that. So yeah, you could also I could also do something like what just happened here? You could also, when you're running a command, so for processes, when you're running a command, I could do something like watch. Let's say I want to check my. So we talked about top and htop for like memory usage. Free is another command you can use to check memory usage. By default, it gives it back to you in bytes. You can pass it in a flag -m to give you the information in megabytes. So if you want to check, how much memory you have, this VM I've given this 8 gigs of RAM, around 8 gigs of RAM. I'm using 2 gigs. I have 2.5 gigs free, and then it's got this buffer and this cache available. So this is really how much available memory I have, because a lot of it's cache. So I have half of the memory still available, and then swap is where you can. That's where things that are long lived in the RAM that aren't really accessed get pushed off to the hard drive. For things that are less frequently accessed. But we can definitely get deeper into swap. Swap can get a little deep, and the explanation of it can get a little deep as well. But yeah, so that's how you can check the memory. If you want to check the memory usage of a computer, I think you can give it -G to give it to you in gigabytes, so you can see how M is for megabytes, G is for gigabytes. Makes a little more sense here when you're doing that. And we can also do, so there's a command called watch, which just basically runs a command every 2 seconds by default. So let's say I do watch -m to watch my memory, and I just want to see my memory usage. And so every 2 seconds, this will probably, you can see the numbers changing slightly every 2 seconds. But I can do something like this, and if you ever want to run a command, if you throw an ampersand to the back of it, this will run the command in the background. So watch will start, but it won't show it to me. And it gives me the process ID here, and I could take a look at it if I wanted to, but I'm just going to kill it. That's just, if you want to start something in the background, that is how you start a process in the background, so that you can keep working and you can reference that process later. And so I'll just kill that so it's not running indefinitely, and you can see how it killed my command there. I'll go to home directory. So I was wondering, what is the root? Okay. Okay. Don't don't run R. Don't run rm-rf/. I should have known. Someone typed that in. Do not run that. I think most computers have safeguards in and won't let you run rm-rf/. Slash is the root. You don't want to do that. Yes, slash refers to the most top level domain, top level directory, which is the root directory of your file system. So don't do that. Firewalls, networking will be an awesome topic for you to cover in the future. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I will put that on the list to incorporate. Maybe we can slide that in next week. Maybe 2 weeks from now. Oh yeah, bringing the process back forward. You can, what is, I think you can just do like Control B or something. Let me see. Displays back. Oh, BG. Yeah. Let's see. Watch. And you just do BG displays things you have, and then you just do FG. So FG stands for foreground, and that brings things that are in the background, something that's running in the background, to the foreground. I think if you're running multiple things in the background, you can specify FG and the process ID, and I think that brings it to the front. Actually, it's it'll be it'll give you a number here, and so it'll actually be FG and the number. And again, like these are things I've done a million times, and I had to refer to this cheat sheet to remember it, because again, I haven't had to do this type of Linux administration in a really long time. But yeah, so the foreground is how you bring that process to the foreground. Bring it back to where it is. So let me see. BG, is that still running? And I wonder if I can I kill? No, I don't want to kill the first process. I'll just get the actually I'll just foreground it. BG FG, nothing running. Cool. Cool, nothing's running anymore. Cool, so that's all the process stuff I think that we're gonna go over for now. And the last thing is going to be installing packages for tonight. Because there's a lot tonight. The last thing we're going to do is packages. So actually, let's kind of thing we did was so we did user management. So we did the who command to find out who you are. Did who, and we did who am I, and we talked about W, and we talked about adding a user with user add, talking about user versus groups, and how a group is a group of users, and how you can add groups to add users to those groups, how you can delete users with user delete or user del. We talked about Linux permissions. Remember the three octets of read, write, and execute, and remember that is the user has the first set of permissions, the group has the second set, and everyone else in the world or every other user and process has the last set of permissions, and that is read, write, and execute, and those have number values. Read has a number value of 4, write has a number value of 2, execute has a number value of 1, and we talked about that, and we talked about chmod, which is change mode, and how you can use that to change the number of permissions for a file or directory. We talked about chown, which is how you change the owner and the group of a file or directory, and then we talked about our process list. PS being list processes. There's some flags in there that can show you all the processes that are running on a machine. We did the free command to show you how much memory is there. We showed top, that shows you kind of the whole system monitor, shows you like CPU usage and memory and bytes and all the processes in one pane. We showed you a better top, which is htop. So a lot of stuff there. Actually, let's start. I think our playlist right now, but we talked about htop. So there's a lot of stuff there. Let's go to mellow beats. And then we talked about we talked about how to run things in the background with the running command with the ampersands behind it. And then actually the music didn't die. It's just my headphones died. All right, no biggie there. And then we talked about the ampersands, running things in the background, how to see it in the background with the BG, how to bring it to the foreground with FG. We talked about killing processes as well. So we did kill all. So we did a bunch of stuff like that. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go into installing packages. Very important part of the process. And so I have this the system here, and I've already got a couple things installed on it. Ubuntu comes with a lot of things installed by default, but this is Ubuntu. We talked about this in the first one. We talked about that there are different distributions, and so this is Ubuntu is a Debian based distribution. And so actually, let's see if I can do it. Ubuntu distro like map or something. And let's see, they all kind of branch off. Oh, this is not good. This is a lot of stuff. This is, none of these are, I thought there was going to be an easier one to see. But basically, there are a few base distributions. We're going to talk about a couple because I want to talk about ones that are going to be pertinent for as you're learning and for jobs. So there are Debian-based distributions. That's Debian-based. Ubuntu, Linux Mint. Linux Mint's actually Ubuntu-based, but this is Debian-based. So Linux Mint, Ubuntu are probably the two biggest ones. Debian is based off of Debian, so Debian is one that you could use, but Ubuntu is probably the one you're going to come off in your day job. I want to say Elementary OS is as well, and yeah, I would definitely going to do a tutorial on Arch Linux because that's pretty cool. What is the daddy Linux that all distros come from? So Linux itself is just a kernel. So a kernel is kind of the engine that kind of drives everything. It's just a kernel. It's not all this other stuff. All a distribution is a set of packages and a set of software and binaries and libraries that are sit on top of this kernel that are kind of just packaged up together. Any of us can make a Linux distribution. You could say, hey, I don't like these distros. I want to make my own that comes packaged with these products and this set of software, and then usually there's some theming on top of it and making it look cool, but the Linux kernel itself is what Linux really is, and a distribution again is just a packaged up set of services. Everyone's kind of opinionated on those things, but those are the Debian based ones. Then there's Red Hat based ones. So distro is just a lot of stuff come out with the same kernel. Red Hat based stuff. So Red Hat, you probably heard of Red Hat. So Linux is free and open source, but there are companies like Red Hat who have taken it and made money off of it, have made an enterprise level distribution that you pay for support for. Actually is the cool, yeah, Spotify's still playing. I can't hear it. That'll play too loud through there. But Red Hat is a really cool company. But there are a lot of distributions that are Red Hat that are also backed up for Red Hat. The two biggest ones being Fedora, and we'll pull up the pages for all these. Fedora and CentOS. So Red Hat, you have to pay for support and pay for a license for this, but you do not have to pay for CentOS. CentOS is literally Red Hat. It's the open source version of Red Hat, the one that they don't support it. So you can't call and get enterprise support for this. So a lot of companies run CentOS because it's based off of this, and so CentOS is used a lot in the corporate world. A lot of servers run off of CentOS or Red Hat. It's pretty cool. And Fedora is the cooler distro made for running this. So CentOS is kind of ugly, and it's really made for servers. And the desktop aspect of it is pretty gross. You probably don't want to use it as a desktop distribution, how we're doing it now. But it is great for servers. Fedora is much better for your workstation. Fedora looks cool. It's very usable. It's much like Ubuntu here, and you can do a lot of cool stuff in this based off of that. Then there's Arch Linux and Arch-based distributions. Arch being a distro that you kind of have to, it kind of gives you the kernel and a command line, and you kind of have to build it from there. Kind of have to build it yourself. You have to do a lot manually. It's great because it's really lightweight, and you only get the packages that you need. You install what you need. You have to install your own, a desktop environment. So everything you see here had to be installed. If this was a Linux distribution, if this was an Arch distro, and we'll definitely go over that one day. That's pretty cool. There are some cool Arch distros that have made it easier to get them installed. One is Antergos. Linux. So this will be a graphical installer for your Arch distro. And another popular one is Manjaro, which is another Arch distro. So I really like this this conversation for sure. These are one of the problems with one of the problems with Arch Linux is that I think by default Arch Linux has or most Arch Linux distros have rolling releases, and you kind of get updated with the latest stuff real quick, and that can Linux, Linux is it's hard to make a software that runs on all hardware or operating system that runs on all hardware, so it can cause problems. You can break stuff. Things can kind of get weird. Sometimes there are ways to stop that. I think Manjaro gives you the option when you install it to either update on the fly or have a more stable version. But they're two distros that are pretty cool. You probably won't run into any of these on the server side of things, but you can mess around and install it locally and use it as your distribution of choice. And then there's Suse Linux, there's Opensuse. Suse is like Red Hat. I think they're stationed out of England or I want to say they're in England, or they're definitely in Europe, I believe. I think. But this is kind of like Red Hat. They offer an enterprise solution, and you pay for support from them. And there's Opensuse, which is the CentOS equivalent here. Oh, okay, they're based out of Germany. Thank you for that. And then there's Opensuse, and this is the free and open source one that you can install, which is pretty cool. And so they've got two releases here. They've got Tumbleweed, which is a rolling release, and then they've got Leap, which is a more I don't want to call it more secure, but a more solid, more stable version, because they wait to kind of release things. It takes time to release things. So those are some of your basic, families of distribution. There's tons of other distributions. There's Elementary Linux. There's Ping iOS. There's a million of them because anyone can make them. These are just some of the most popular ones. And installing packages on these they're all very different. Well, not very different. But they can be very different. One way you can install packages on these, or the same, is to install things by source. We are going to wait to install things by source until probably next video or next stream, because that will be a little confusing. The entry to installing packages, because there will be package managers on all the servers or systems you touch, but we're going to use a package manager to get something installed. So see, I'm just gonna back up and say I don't know. What was the question here? I'll actually go back and read through this, and maybe I can answer that in a second. But let me show you guys how to install some packages real quick. So all these distributions come default with their own package manager. There are a few different ones. Package managers can be different. Package managers that come on one system can actually be installed on other systems, depending on what it is. But they all come with, depending on what they're based on, the same package manager. So things that are Debian and Ubuntu based, Debian and Ubuntu based. So I'm using Ubuntu here. Come with a program called apt, which I think is short for aptitude. But apt is a command line package manager, and that you can use. And so you can use commands. You saw earlier when I installed htop. I did a command. The command is really just this. Thanks for the follow, Cactus. Was it Cactus AS1? Appreciate that. I actually don't know what's going on because my headphones died and I can't hear all the little audio cues to know what's going on. But there's aptitude, and so you do things like this. I actually think you can just alias, and you basically call the package manager name, install, and then the package name. So before we typed in htop, and again, it gets a permission denied because I did not escalate my permissions. And it'll go ahead and grab that for you. There are a lot of ways you can figure out what the package name is, but you can Google it. You can actually search through something called dpkg here in Ubuntu. That's another way you can install things. But we'll start with the standard ones for now. So this is aptitude. Let's pick a popular best Linux software 2019. Let's go with best Ubuntu software, just so we can see. Cool, so we'll grab something like Dropbox. That's gonna do something weird with Nautilus. I already know that, so I don't want to do that. GNOME Tweak Tool I already have installed. Caffeine. I want something cool. I'll do Dropbox. So something cool like Dropbox. You can see here the command they give you is just this apt-get install command. Pretty simple. Actually, yeah. Let's find out. I actually might have installed Zip. Yeah, Zip's already installed. Zip. What about wget? What about curl? Should already be there. Oh, so curl's not. Wow, curl's not installed. So curl's a cool command to be able to pull websites down or interact with websites, make web requests via the command line. So I can't do that. So I'm just going to do sudo apt-get install. So very simple. All of them are going to follow this paradigm. Just the name of the package manager and install and curl. And just like that, we're going to have a package, which is pretty cool. You'll start to understand package names and stuff. Like you'll start to remember a lot of the common ones. So when you get things like a lot of you who are using Macs may be using Brew to install things. Brew is the same paradigm. It's just a package manager for Mac. So I just installed curl. So now if I type in curl, I now have the package. Before it said I didn't have it, and I can install it, and now I have it. So I can do curl google.com. And it gives me the request from the web request from google.com. Lets me know that there's a 301 and sends me to www. So let's do that. And this will give me back the entire response from Google, inside of my browser. I mean, inside of my console, which is annoying and dumb. So don't do that. But yeah, so that's how you install a package here. Again, this works for a lot of stuff. Sometimes you've got to add different things. So there are different. Some of them have mirrors. Some of them have PPK, I think, packages. There are different repositories and things that different types of software live in. Create a Twitch page. Let's do that. Actually, that's a good idea. Curl. I think I have to give it a -K because it's HTTPS. Let's do that. Twitch.tv/mastermind. That's a great idea. I get nothing back. I wonder why. They must have something that doesn't give anything back. Interesting. It's not giving me anything, which is weird. I got the headers here. Section close. Move permanently to. I don't know. Really weird thing. Yeah, we can follow redirects. I thought it would give me back something though. All right, cool. So that followed it. Yeah, there we go. It's huge, just like you said. Bunch of stuff here for this page, which is pretty cool. So we got everything there. Yeah. So curl is how you get this stuff. Curl is actually excellent for troubleshooting and getting back web requests, getting back headers, things like that. When you are trying to figure out when you're doing web development, when you're troubleshooting servers and things like that, curl is a great tool to use. I am using Halfpage. I'm using this is GNOME. This is GNOME, but I am using a plugin. So there's a tweak tool in GNOME. And I have an extension installed called Dash to Panel that makes it look like this. So if I turn it off, it'll go back to the normal GNOME desktop, which I hate. I really hate it. So I just enable that, and now it looks like this. Pretty simple thing. But yeah, no, curl's awesome for sure. Can you copy the curl output with a command? Yeah, actually you can. So you can. Let me clear this. I think we talked about redirects last time. I think you can, I want to say you can redirect the curl list into a file. Let's call it curl.txt. I believe this should work. Cool. So now if I check here, I've got this curl.txt file. It has a bunch of stuff in it. And if I vim it, I have now captured the output of my curl command. So you can do that. So you can do it that way. That's probably the best way to do it, to just redirect it into a file. One arrow will overwrite everything in that file. This wasn't a file that wasn't created, so this command creates it. Anytime you put this little arrow and a file like this, it redirects the output into there. If I do 2, it will append to it. So if I do it again, it'll actually double up this file, but 1 will delete everything inside of it and overwrite it. So if I just do something like echo test, the word test will overwrite everything in that curl. See, now everything else is gone. But if I run this, and then I add double things, and I vim the curl.txt, the last, let's go to the last line. Actually, I could just tail it. Tail, 5. The last thing you can see here is it appended the word test. So double little thingies does that. Actually, I will, have I timed out? I will post your, I'm going to post your link. Sorry, I'm gonna fix Nightbot to allow you guys to post links. I think links are super important for this channel. So sorry that this happened to you, Gaffney. I apologize. Cool. So that's cool. Not your fault. I need to fix that. I installed Nightbot. I installed 2 commands, and I need to modify a little more. But cool. So that's how you do output there. But so we showed you how easy it is to install a package just using the app package manager. So know about apt. But probably the most important one to know about is things that are CentOS and Red Hat related. They use a package manager called Yum. Fedora actually has switched over to something called DNF or DFN. I think it's DNF, which is, it's the same as Yum, but Yum is a huge one. Let me see, Yum package manager, and Yum is the same thing. You just do Yum install package name. Package names will be different across distros, so you will have to search for them. Yum's a little bit easier to search than Linux packages are. Usually you can just Google it. You can usually just Google like how to install Ruby on Red Hat. Real simple. This will tell you, something will tell you. And you can see the Yum commands here. It's just Yum install. These are a bunch of dependencies you need. But like, don't sweat that. You can see how you just it's Yum install, the name of the package, and you can string the package names together. So there's not one package. This is a bunch of different packages. So pretty simple there. And that's probably the one you need to know the most. Will probably be Yum. Arch uses one called Pac-Man. There's Pac-Man, and there's one called Yowert, I think. Package. These are 2 big ones. So yeah, Pac-Man is the one for Arch Linux. And so that one's the syntax is a little different, but essentially the same thing. People package up these things, and you can use Pacman-S to install a single package in Yowert. Yowert is a package manager as well, and Arch also has the AUR, which is the Arch user repository, which you can use to get some of this stuff as well for Arch. But yeah, that's how you install packages. You can remove. I could probably remove curl. Actually, never need to do this. I think it's apt get. Maybe it's just remove. So maybe I can remove curl. Let me sudo in front. Cool. Ask me. It'll ask you. Are you sure you want to delete this? I passed in a Y for yes. And now if I go to curl, it doesn't work. So cool. So you can remove just like that. So adding and removing packages You can see how it's very easy in Linux. It's not a super hard thing. Most of it is just remembering the command, and just remembering the command, remembering what it does. But it's very simple to do. Install, remove. All you really need to manage packages on your system. It's also important to know that Linux has it's got a lot of the super popular applications. So things like Visual Studio Code, things like different terminals, things like Chrome, things like Firefox. It's got all that stuff. So you can mess around if you want in a VM, or if you have this installed on your computer, if you have Linux installed, you can mess around and get all the files that you need installed. Things like a VLC media player, and a lot of the common things you can get in Linux. So practice doing that, and then maybe start practicing installing. If you're doing JavaScript, I'm pretty sure I have Node already installed in here. I think to install Node is just sudo apt-get install Node.js. Pretty simple, and yeah, that's the command install it. Basically, it tells me, I already have the newest version, no need to install it. So yeah, that's how you manage packages on a Linux system. That's the basics of managing a package on a Linux system. Again, there are things like adding repositories to be able to grab software that's not in the default repositories, things like that. But we will dive into all of that. I think we've done enough for the night. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I hope someone learned something. Seemed to be a lot of chatter in the chat. I appreciate that. Definitely, people who may already know this stuff, I'd love for you to hop on back by on Wednesdays when I am doing the system stuff, doing more of the Linux stuff, more of the cloud stuff, to be there as a resource to kind of help answer questions and to push the conversation. But that's all we have for tonight. Again, for anyone who's new to the channel, Mondays are coding days. Mondays we do something called the Crucible. We're trying to get through all of the problems on exorcism.io, but the focus is to really just learn the concepts of coding, not so much the implementation of each of those problems. And on Wednesdays we do stuff like this. We do Linux, we do cloud computing, we do more of the system side of things. And I think you can type in the command !YouTube. So there goes my YouTube channel right there. It looks like there's no space. Looks like I messed up the space. So let me copy. That's my YouTube channel. I actually have 3 videos that I'm working on dropping right now. Those will be coming. At least one of those will be coming this week. I'll be posting a lot on my YouTube channel as well. I'll be posting this on my YouTube channel so it's around for a little while, so people can take a look at it when they need to. But a lot of stuff will be coming there. Follow me on my social media. All of my social media is at MasterMND.io. Twitter and Instagram are probably the best ones if you want to get updates on anything. And also, I'm going to end up making a super quick Google Docs or something, a Google form, and a URL to MasterMND.io to take any requests or things people want to learn. I know pre-evils, you told me that networking will be something good, firewalls. So I'll definitely hop into that. Again, the goal is to do the things that you want to do, and that you guys want to learn. So I will definitely be doing that. And let's say commands, edit. Let me try that. I did that. What does it give me? Command edited successfully. Thank you for that. You guys are Twitch pros. Every time I stream, you guys give me all the best stuff. And almost worked, but I think I need to change YouTube. I put an extra exclamation right here. There we go. No, you're good. You're good. You helped me a ton. See, we're all learning together because I did not know this. There we go. Now you get the link. Definitely go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I definitely appreciate that. I'll be back. So I said I was going to do it last Friday. I'm actually going to do it this Friday, though. I started noting down just for fun. I figured since I was playing, I usually play games on Friday when I'm done with work just to have some fun. I've been writing down all the things that I learned over the week. And I think on Friday I'll just try to play some Apex Legends or some Overwatch. I'm not very good at either one. Just talk about the things I learned. Just have some conversation with people. People want to talk about tech or have any questions or anything like that. I'll be playing some games. If anyone wants to play some games with me, I'd love that. But just gonna have some fun on Friday. Probably start a little bit early. I'll probably start at 6:30 or so. Play for as long as I'm having fun. But Cool, thank you. I'll definitely check out the Nightbot's commands. But I'll be doing that. But yeah, if not, I will see everyone on whoever's there, whoever can show up on Friday. Appreciate it. If not, I'll see you Monday or next Wednesday. Thanks. Everybody have a good night.